Furthermore, we should be clear boldness isn't and won't ever be a superpower. It is the characteristic of an antagonist hijacking kids, isn't what incredible countries. Do I simply need to caution individuals? Did I see that well in a moment, Oak? I simply need to, I need to let individuals that know if you in the event that you go to a magazine kiosk and you read about me in these clothes, you know a lot of what you're perusing is outright trash. It's all-out factorization of many individuals. Imagine that you realize I'm somewhat going through something, yet it's been for what seems like forever, And they go like, well, it's a response to wretchedness. He's managed discouragement his entire life. And there's no smidgen of misery. Jim Carrey shares unnerving insights concerning Hollywood in the present video. We make them grasp bits of knowledge to share around, perhaps of the most darling and cryptic entertainer in the business. In all honesty, the unbelievable Jim Carrey, with a path of blockbuster hits that started during the 90s, Jim Carrey quickly rose the positions of Hollywood's elite, yet as his renowned blade, and his financial balance loaded up with millions for each film. Something exceptional happened. He chose to make a stride back from the fabulousness and marvelousness of Tinseltown. A delayed break left fans thinking about what had made their #1 humorist disappear from the spotlight in 2018. The puzzling entertainer at last ended his quiet, revealing insight into the very purpose for his retreat from the business that had shot him to fame. It gave the idea that the stunning veneer of Broadway had negatively affected Jim, as he genuinely uncovered the clouded side of the entertainment world's business viewpoints, regardless of his concise non-attendance. Jim Carrey made a victorious revisitation of the cinema following his noteworthy meeting. Anyway, fans couldn't resist the opportunity to see that something had changed. The enchanted that once radiated from his exhibitions appeared to be to some degree diminished, and his new works neglected to collect similar overpowering allure as his prior magnum opuses. Go along with us as we unwind the dazzling subtleties of Jim Carrey's excursion in Hollywood, from his ascent to super fame to his thoughtful retreat, and his unsure future in the entertainment biz. We'll dig into the untold stories that lie behind the giggling and distinction. Try to hit that buy-in button and ring the chime to remain refreshed on everything Hollywood. How about we hop directly? In no business since the arrival of Ace Ventura in 1994, Jim Carrey has been one of Hollywood's greatest entertainers, conveying an endless series of hits during the pinnacle of his vocation. Anyway, there came when Jim appeared to lose revenue in seeking after blockbuster jobs. As before, maybe he had made a stride back from the spotlight in 2018. Jim got back in the saddle of sorts, with the series joking during that year. He at last focused on his shift in perspective. In a meeting with the Hollywood correspondent, Jim uncovered I would have rather not been in the business any longer. It was an amazing disclosure for fans who had loved his fiery exhibitions on screen in the wake of making gigantic progress. It appeared to be that Jim had become disappointed with the requests of showbiz, and he chose to have some time off from the business. As per Jim, the movie business' rising corporate impact was a significant main consideration that drove him to lose revenue in his acting vocation. The consistent spotlight on benefit and business perspectives eclipsed the imaginative delight he once found in his calling. Thus, he continuously pulled out from the spotlight, despite the fact that he accomplished return to deal with a few movie projects. It's obvious that the new deliveries didn't accomplish similar degree of achievement as his initial blockbusters. By and by, bits of hearsay endure about additional tasks in the pipeline, demonstrating that Jim's affection for the art actually copies brilliant moronic and more idiotic Jim Carrey, known for his splendid exhibitions and famous actual parody, turned into a Hollywood sensation on account of his jobs in both emotional and comedic films. His breakout in the business started with the television series Unfiltered and Full of Life, where he displayed his uncommon ability. One of his most vital jobs was in the 1994 hit movie Imbecilic, and more moronic close by Jeff Daniels, where their science caused it genuinely unique anyway. Jim's excitement and difficult work to appear to go to no end when he found that he and Jeff Daniels were nonchalantly supplanted in the prequel moronic and dumber. When Harry met Lloyd, this choice left him confounded, particularly thinking about that their dynamic exhibitions had been instrumental in making the establishment a triumph, at first reluctant about taking part in the continuation, stupid and more idiotic too because of his bustling timetable. Jim Carrey ultimately consented to return for the movie, yet it was during a meeting with LA Times, not long before the 2014 arrival of the spin-off, that he got serious about his sentiments. After finding out about their substitution in the prequel delivered in 2003 highlighted Derek Richardson and Eric Christian Olsen as the new Harry and Lloyd, separately assuming control over the jobs initially played by Jim and Jeff, regardless of the mind-boggling achievement and popularity of the principal portion. The prequel got pessimistic audits from pundits. Normally, individuals couldn't resist the opportunity to draw correlations between the two movies, which fundamentally affected the prequels. Gathering in a meeting with the LA Times, Jim Carrey once shared his contemplations. He said the money manager essentially went, "Well, it's not actually him, is it? We can project this with anyone. They were all gifted individuals. Yet I'd prefer not to step into the shoes of a famous entertainer's personality. That is an extreme one, so I felt terrible for them. Yet I additionally felt like it was an extremely odd thing to do." Cowardly Hollywood. Jim Carrey didn't keep down while examining Will Smith's activities at the 94th Institute grants, where he slapped Chris Rock in front of an audience during a discussion with Gail Lord on CBS Mornings. Jim communicated his resentful about the response in the room, especially the thunderous applause Will got when he later won Best Entertainer. Jim felt nauseated by the reaction, accepting it showed Hollywood's gutlessness. "All in all, I was nauseated. I was nauseated by the thunderous applause. I felt like Hollywood is yellow. He doesn't need the problem I needed to for declared today that I was suing Will for $200 million. Since that video will be there everlastingly, it will be omnipresent. You don't reserve the option to stroll up in front of an audience and smack someone in the face." Since Pal's sparkling second, the entertainer likewise shared his considerations on Chris Rock's choice not to document a police report after the occurrence. Jim expressed that if he were to imagine being in Chris' situation, he would have reported a claim looking for $200 million from Will, because of the episode being caught on record and having an enduring effect. Jim contended that there were elective ways for Will to deal with his dissatisfaction, for example, communicating it from the crowd or via virtual entertainment, as opposed to depending on actual brutality. He recognized that he holds no private feelings of spite against Will, yet underlined the requirement for responsibility, pondering the difficult work put in by the candidates paving the way to the Oscars. Jim communicated that Will's activities cast a dull shadow over everybody's sparkling second. The Institute later reported a proper audit of the occurrence to investigate further activity and outcomes. Will Smith in the end issue an expression of remorse to Chris, conceiving that his way of behaving was unsuitable and unforgivable. He credited his close-to-home response to a joke made about his better half, Jada Pinkett Smith's ailment, alopecia, as the consequence of the episode unfurls Hollywood, and its stars wrestle with the repercussions of such activities and the significance of establishing a strong and deferential climate in the business iconless honorary pathway. At a New York Design Week honorary pathway interview with E! News, Jim Carrey challenged the typical show's Jim's shocked questioner Feline Sadler by energetically circumnavigating around her. When gotten some information about the symbol's subject of the Harper's Marketplace party they were going to, Jim openly excused it as trivial. He said, "Definitely, I know I don't trust in symbols. I don't trust in characters. I accept that harmony lies past character, past development and camouflage." past the reds that you wear on your chest that makes projectiles talk through off in his provocative reaction. Carrey communicated his mistrust in the idea of symbols and characters. He dug further, sharing his conviction that genuine harmony lies past surface appearances, past the names and images that society frequently offers to people. He saw life as a lively dance past the bounds of shallow personalities. Jim Carrey's unusual interpretation of honorary pathway interview had an effect as he underscored his faith in the further interconnected nature of presence. With a splitting comment that "we don't make any difference," Carrey tested customary thoughts and left the crowd pondering the significant thoughts he had shared. Well, we see that few reasons drove Jim Carrey to move back from Hollywood. Right off the bat, the rising corporate impact inside the movie business assumed a huge part in his choice. The emphasis on benefit and business angles started to eclipse his energy for the craft of acting, making him question his spot at the center of attention. Also, Jim's craving to investigate other innovative outlets was one more main thrust behind his takeoff. Subsequent to making colossal progress with his initial blockbusters, it's conceivable that the strain to duplicate that degree of notoriety became overpowering, adding to his choice to have some time off. In conclusion, the changing elements of Hollywood and the difficulties that accompany exploring a continually advancing industry could have additionally had an impact in his decision to step back out. And out these variables finished in Jim Carrey's takeoff from the Hollywood scene, leaving fans and industry insiders inquisitive about his future undertakings. What do you all think? Let us in on in the remarks underneath, and give this video a like and buy in for more.